This week we had some visitors, and while they stayed in our treehouse, swam in the creek, and experienced our way of life in the rainforest, they asked us, what does it mean to live a simple life? And truthfully, our simple life really isn't that simple, and this week has proven that to us over and over again. It is complex to deal with the uncertain weather of the wilderness, and this week we're still recovering from a cyclone. It is complex to learn to build something from scratch. It's complex to sew a top from a single scrap of fabric. It's complex to grow your own food or cook meals entirely from nature. It's complex to garden without herbicides or to constantly be busy with the upkeep of the farm. The only thing simple about this life in nature is that our every action comes back to the same goal, to live in harmony with the earth, and that purpose is found within the complexities of it all.
Eamon and Bec and their little girl Frankie are from Canada, and you probably know their YouTube channel. While they were visiting Australia, it was really cool to get to know them and show them our little life here in the rainforest. I don't know about you, but whenever we have visitors, it feels like it gives us this new perspective on your own life. I showed them the morning routine, how you have to skip with joy to move the goat paddocks, and it definitely made me realise how lucky I am that this is my everyday routine. No traffic, no commute, just 6 goat friends that make me giggle with joy. We also took Happy the duck for a swim, and maybe lately I've taken this routine for granted, and I'd lost perspective on just how magical it is to have a pet duck who swims with joy under the rainforest canopy. Frankie and her endless giggles and awe let me see the magic of it all. I think a baby's view on life is such an important perspective because truly, they are living the most simple life you can. It's so inspiring to see Frankie experiencing this moment for the first time. Her perspective shows me that it's less about what you do to live a simple life, but it's more about how you perceive your life. Always seeking moments of beauty, awe, and play. As adults, I think we overanalyze things and we take everything too much for granted, or we feel like because we've experienced something before, it's not worthy of our awe. I always try to look at the world through a child's eyes and see wonder in every moment, to pretend that I'm seeing something for the first time, and how exciting and wondrous that would be. A spider's web or a sunlit beam of mist, tracing the movements of a butterfly's wings or the morning sun rising from over the hillside. Even sharing a meal around the fire with new friends. These are the little moments that when you pause and notice, life suddenly becomes more full. Our life here on the farm has been a long-term study in this art of noticing. We first took on the care of the land after losing our dad suddenly, and in that time of grief, it was the small, tiny moments of wonder that got us through. Growing our own food, making and building with our hands, and reawakening ourselves to the wonder of this incredible world that holds us.
So this is a plantain, and I'm really excited because I've never harvested my own plantain before, so there's a first for everything. But I really want to get it right this time because every time I try to harvest bananas, I get something wrong. They're so heavy and you have to be like really strong to hold the weight of bananas. And I'm not very strong, but this bunch is smaller, so I think this is my opportunity to do it perfectly.
There is a simplicity of tasting food that you've harvested with your hands and grew straight from the soil. But at the same time, there is a great complexity. Planting, nurturing soils, dividing, protecting from birds, and finally, harvesting the food that you spent so much time growing.
Yay! That's the best banana catch I've ever done. I'm so proud. Maybe this is my proudest bunch yet. Not to be dramatic, but look at them. Okay, so now I have ladyfingers, I have cavendish, and I've got plantain. Alright.
In reality, I think a more simple life would actually involve buying food straight from the supermarket, and the more processed, the more full of preservatives, and the more packaged, the easier and more simple it would be for my life. But no food will ever taste as good as fresh plantains picked straight from the tree. There have been studies into how we process our food, and apparently the preparation of food plays a vital role in our digestion. The role of thought, sight, smell, and taste increase our gastric acid secretion and promote better digestion. So basically, by preparing food ourselves, our brain and body communicate and send signals to the gut to receive the anticipated meal. I reckon that this works in a similar way with growing your own food from scratch. I find that by growing my own food, I've found such a huge appreciation for food. I think that it's easy to go to the supermarket and get a bunch of bananas or plantains and not really think about it too much. But when you grow them from scratch, you see the amount of time and effort that the landscape gives to this fruit. The plant that they grew on took over a year to grow this fruit, and then once they're fruited, they'll die. I have begun to look at every single little bit of food that I consume and considering them as these amazing gifts from the earth. I think that this appreciation has also turned cooking into an art for me. I find the joy of putting all of these different flavors together and celebrating our senses through these bright, colorful dishes. This meal is black beans, a salad, plantain, and Venezuelan guasacaca sauce.
Building this studio for all of those months felt like it would never end, so now each time I start a project I find myself quite distracted, admiring all the little touches of our big build. Sewing my own clothes has taught me a lot, and I think it was my initiation into simple living. The feeling of sewing a few seams and seeing a garment come into being was like nothing I had ever felt before. It is the feeling of providing for yourself and understanding that anything is possible if you just separate it into small steps, whether that is sewing a top or building a studio or living a self-sufficient life in nature.
So I made a little prototype out of scrap and literal shoelaces, and I think I'm happy with how it fits. I always like test it before I do it out of the real fabric, just in case, and I did have to change a few things, but I think I'm ready to make it. I think I'm really happy with it.
Mostly I was inspired as I learned to sew because it's a way that I could separate myself from the corrupt fashion industry. Instead of relying off buying clothes new from places that I couldn't trust, I was instead able to honor the craft of creating and make something myself. When I create, I always try to make with the smallest amount of waste possible, and today I'm making a top with zero waste, cut from tessellating shapes within this bandana. The corners of the bandana are all important. 2 being the bust panels, the 3rd being the waistband, and then the leftover fabric is becoming spaghetti straps. At first, this process can be confusing, but once it starts unfolding, it feels like the most beautiful formula being solved. The sewing part is actually the easiest. It's the design that normally takes up the most time for me, because perfecting this pattern is so important.
When it works, this is the most satisfying job. When it doesn't work, it's the worst job in the world.
From the 2 tiny leftover scraps, I'm making 2 loops to hold the back strap into place, and now I've used absolutely every square inch of fabric.
So I actually made this top to match this skirt, which is from a brand Sondefleur, who I wholeheartedly trust, not just to create beautiful, eco-friendly and ethical clothing, but clothing that's sewn so well and will last a lifetime. I'm a sewer, so I'm always kind of judging how things are sewn and how they're made, and to be honest, this is made more beautifully than I could make anything. It is sewn so beautifully. It's using all of these traditional techniques that are kind of forgotten these days and aren't used in production because they are harder to do and take a lot more time. So it's really amazing that Sondefleur are using these beautiful techniques, beautiful finishing touches, and making pieces that will last a lifetime. I think this skirt is maybe one of my favorite things in my whole wardrobe. And guess what? They have pockets. Big useful pockets, because women need pockets.
Sondefleur is a sustainable, slow fashion brand that embraces timeless style. Their ethical made linen dresses are so thoughtfully designed and are crafted in harmony with nature. Growing linen requires few resources and is one of the most sustainable fibers that there is. The material is breathable and hypoallergenic, and they only use Okotex certified linen materials, ensuring that they are safe for both people and the environment. You can use our code MotherTheMountain15, and that will get you 15% off all products, excluding the Last Chance garments, home linen products, and accessories. The pieces that we're wearing are from Sondefleur's Spring Summer 25 collection, and there are so many beautiful pieces in there.
We've been spending so many afternoons down by the water. Julia has ME CFS and has been quite unwell lately, so she has just been resting and not able to do much around the farm. If you know Julia, stepping back from work or adventure is one of the hardest things for her, so it's a bit of a tricky time. A gentle swim is always a nice way for her to spend some time in nature and slow down, especially with Happy the Duck's companionship.
So this is a cabin that our dad built about 20 years ago probably, and it's the cutest thing in the world. He was completely a self-taught builder, and I don't know, I think that secretly he did an apprenticeship with the elves or something, because he would just fell a tree in the forest, like an invasive pine, and then he would just build something like this from it.
This project is a big one, and I'm probably biting off more than I can chew, but restoring this cabin is really important to us, so I'm pushing my building skills and just seeing if I can do it.
After 20 years, it's got a few problems with it. It's got a completely rusted out roof, and so we're going to replace the roof, and then also the floor went moldy a few years ago. It was a ply floor and it went all moldy. So I'm going to try to replace the floor, but I've never done anything like this before, so it's definitely going to be something to learn. Hey! Hello! Obviously the goats will help me though. The goats have been here for literally 1 second, and already Bird the goat in particular has tried to chew through the power cord, and he ate a little like bottle of liquid, I think it's like oil for the air compressor, and he like almost swallowed it. I had to pull it out of his mouth. You can't work with goats. Goats are not good apprentices. I've learnt this many times before, but I'm still in this predicament. This is the loft, and this has to be the most special place to wake up. You can hear the rain pitter-pattering on the roof, and then you wake up and you can look out to the beautiful water just rippling, and it's so special to wake up here. It's the best feeling in the world. I'm only on the first staple and I'm lost. I don't know why, but there's like a gap because obviously it's bent a little bit, so that every time I push it in, the gap just opens on a different side. Apparently, hammer and chisel are the tools that are going to save me in this situation.
Whenever I start a new project, especially with building, I feel really out of my depth.
Oh no, Anastasia!
I get in my own head and I get sad that our dad isn't around to teach me these skills, and I feel like I'm hopeless and bad at building and it's all too much. But slowly, very, very slowly, as I continue to just push myself, I see my skills grow. I try to remember that no one is good at something when they first start, and this job is tough, crouched up on these beams trying to fit warped boards into a wonky space. And then I just feel inspiration, and that if I can push myself, I can do anything.
So I've been using this chisel, and it's really, really, really blunt, and I realised it's not the sharpest tool in the shed, and neither am I. So I went and I got a different chisel from the shed, and it's way sharper, and I feel way more prepared now, and maybe I am the sharpest tool in the shed now. So I ran out of staples, so I'm putting more staples in, but I'm terrified of this thing. Like, I don't want to go near it in case it's... Like, it doesn't have an off button, but I turned the air compressor off, so surely it's off. I just don't want it to staple me. But I think it'll be fine. Oh, there are still staples in it. Now there's more. Okay, so I have the chisel, the good chisel, and I have normal hammer. I have 3 types of hammers for this job, but I use my normal hammer to put the chisel in. And then with my soft hammer, I can kind of at the same time pull that really tight so there's no gap. But because this thing, you need both hands for it, which is good because I don't trust myself to not put my hand in the way and then get a staple through it. So I'm glad about that, but it also makes it really hard because I can't hold the chisel at the same time, so I use my foot to hold. Okay, this is going to be a backhanded one, which I'm really bad at. I think so. Oh, I don't have the air compressor on. This is, most importantly, my uncle's air compressor that he lent me and taught me how to use. And so I'm going to use that today to put in staples. I've never done any of this before, so it's all a bit terrifying. Okay, the air compressor is on now, so... No, I did it badly. Okay, attempt number 100. Yay! tree! Oh, yes! Okay, so I've been trying to put this board in for so long and I just can't do it. It's got like a big bend in it. It's like 1.5 centimeters that it's just got a big gap and I don't really know what to do. All of the chisels in the world couldn't help me right now. It's just not working. And then Magnolia the goat just keeps screaming in the background. It's kind of, she's giving off the same mood as I'm feeling right now, to be honest. She's externalizing all of my inner screams.
I'm giving up for the day, so instead I'll give you a walkthrough of this special spot.
So let me take you on a tour of the most beautiful cabin in the world. It's the best place ever. And there's also this little tree house, which me and my dad built. It's so cute as well, and it's so nice to camp up in there. But this is the main kind of cabin shack, and upstairs there's no roof now, but that's where we used to always sleep. And then there's a lot of roofing stuff because we need to replace the roof because it's a second-hand roof, as is everything in our life. Every summer we'd come down here and we'd have different kind of little projects that we'd do, so we'd just camp here for weeks at a time. And you know, one year we built this, which is, we call it the bathhouse. It's just a little cabin that has a bath in it. And we also, another summer, got up to this really fun project where we tried to make the hot water be heated from the fire, and then because hot water rises, it would rise up, go into the hot water system, and then from there gravity feed into the bath, and then we would have hot baths. It never really worked, to be honest, but maybe we'll get it working one day. Maybe. This is the bathroom, and you might be able to tell, but it's a bit wonky. I don't know what happened recently, but the whole thing kind of sits like this now. So that's something that we're going to have to fix one day as well. But that's a future job. I'm not thinking about that right now. This was a huge tree, which is an invasive radiata pine, and it was massive and went through the roof, but we recently got it cut down because it was way too close, and when we replace the roof it's going to be in the way. So we've got a few of the pines here cut down, and they're all a bit ugly and they're laying everywhere, but the goats love to use them as bridges, which is really cute.
Eamon and Bec filmed a really fun video camping in the treehouse, touring the orchards, swimming with ducks, and living a day in our rainforest life. You can catch it over on their channel. We also went on their podcast and talked in depth about our life and the struggles and joys of living in nature.
So our brother is getting married in a month, and a few months ago, him and his partner asked me if I could grow all of the flowers for their wedding, which I was like, whoa, that's gonna be big. Like, I don't know if I'm up for that because I'm not a very good flower grower. But I thought it was a really nice idea, so I said, weather depending, I'll do it. But there might be a massive storm, there might be something that wipes out the garden because you never know. And of course, there was a cyclone. So a month before the wedding, all of the trellises fell down, the dahlias got squished, a lot of the zinnias were squished by different bushes, so they're all wiggly now. All of the plans that I had are not going well. So come on a little adventure with me of me trying to fix up this garden so that I can have flowers in a month.
I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed by the garden. I think all of the rain has overwatered the dahlias, so they're putting out more leaves than flowers, and I don't really know if there's a way around this, but I think my patch of zinnias will flower at the perfect time, so hopefully I'll have enough. Are you sitting on the seedlings, Clover? Any flower advice is very welcome. I need it.
Thank you so much for the support from our patrons. We've been clearing lots of invasive radiata pines and planting more trees in the rainforest. So thank you so much for this contribution.